Hi, I'm Simon Phipps, and this is another Minkcast. Well, welcome to this Minkcast about MariaDB. I'm lucky enough to have the COO of the MariaDB Foundation, Andrew Katz, and the original author and founder of MySQL and CTO of the MariaDB Foundation, Monty Widenius. I should call you Michael Widenius formally, but you're Monty because everyone calls you Monty. So, guys, congratulations on your new foundation. Very interested to know, why have you done that? Why have you decided now is the time for a MariaDB Foundation?
Okay, so I think this is the second most important event in the MySQL history related to keeping things free. The first being us doing a TPL that enable us to be open source, and this one enables or ensures that there's not anymore one single person or company who's driving MariaDB, while there's a group of individuals and companies who depend on MySQL and MariaDB who together ensure that we are available for all foreseeable future.
Right. So, Andrew, tell me why it is that you've decided that you're going to join in with this activity. I see that you're the COO of this new MariaDB Foundation. What do you hope to achieve here?
What I'm hoping to achieve is to create a solid sort of basis so that anyone that approaches the foundation, either from the perspective of wanting to be a member or being a developer or a sponsor, is able to have a reliable foundation that's going to have longevity, it's going to have stability, and that everyone involved in it understands what its aims are and it remains true to those aims.
Right. So, what do you think is the roadmap ahead of you with the foundation? What are the things that are going to happen over the next few months?
So the foundation is been designed and designated to be the new driver of the MariaDB project, and its purpose and goal is to ensure that MariaDB is driven forward as an open source project. So the foundation will take over all the builds, all the reviews, all the merges with MySQL, and do everything that is needed to drive the open source project forward.
Okay. So now I'm interested to catch up on MariaDB. Quite a lot of the people who are watching this won't have been tracking MariaDB, and I gather that MariaDB is not just a fork of MySQL. There's a lot of original engineering work that's gone on in there. What are some of the unique things about MariaDB that make it compelling as a database in the enterprise?
So it's basically MySQL plus 30 man-year of the best engineers that MySQL have ever had who have been worked on it. And we have a much faster, better replication. We have really greatly enhanced optimizer, so we are faster for most complex queries than the current GA MySQL, and even the upcoming MySQL 5.6. We have features that people have been waiting for a real long time, like multi-source replication, and we also have lots of more security fixes than MySQL.
Right. That security fix thing's interesting. It looked to me like there was still a bunch of rather serious problems that were not fixed in MySQL that you've fixed in MariaDB already. How did that happen? Surely there's a team that's working on these patches and getting them all available as open source. How can one project have fixes and another not?
So we have given Oracle all the critical fixes that we have found and given them to them, so they should incorporate them into MySQL. But basically what we have a better test system than the public MySQL version has, that is greatly enhanced. And that test system, because we don't accept any failures on any platform. And the biggest security issues that was found about half a year ago, where anybody could get access to MySQL, it was something I found just because there was one test failing on one computer that shouldn't have failed. And I digged into it and found the reason and just noticed that this is a serious issue, so we fixed it and gave the patch to Oracle, and then we waited for them to do a binder before we released it. And but the main issue with security on the MySQL side is that we don't get from MySQL all the information about all the security issues. We actually have to find many of themselves, and even when we get reported that these securities are fixed, they are not described what they are. So we actually spend a lot of time going through them and documenting them so the users can know that are they secure or not.
So you mean there's no kind of a joint security team that's got people from MariaDB and from Drizzle and from MySQL all collaborating over security reports that come in that might be relevant to all three of those various pathways that MySQL has taken?
No, MySQL doesn't publish anything except every second or third month they send out a list that these are the security fixes that were fixed. They don't give any details about them.
Right.
While we try to do it the proper way, we are working with the security consoles on the internet to ensure that things are reported properly. Everybody knows in advance what needs to be fixed, and then you fix it, and then you release it, and then the security issues are published. But so we are working the way that an open source project is expected to work, in contrast to the other one.
So, who's involved in MariaDB? I mean, you know, obviously you've got a whole bunch of people who are working with you. I remember when Sun wound up, you started a company that had an open remit to take on board as many developers as wanted to join you, which I thought was a great thing for keeping the community together. Who else is involved in this MariaDB community? Is it just your people, or are there more than that?
It actually is a big group who has joined over time, and you can easily see that if you go to the Maria channel on Freenode. You see more than 100 people hanging around all the time, both discussing development and helping others. But we have taken patches and worked with Facebook, Twitter, and Google to get things incorporated into MariaDB. We also taken patches from Percona. We are working with Taobao, a Korean company, who had was the one who did the original development of the multi-source, which we took, greatly enhanced, and made it production ready and added to MariaDB. So what we are trying to do is every single company who's working with a patch version of MySQL or producing new features, we are trying to get those features into MariaDB. Right. We just signed an agreement with TokyoTech to get the TokyoDB engine into MariaDB, and we will do all the modifications on the upper level so that we can plug in TokyoDB anytime.
So who do the committers work for? Are they from across the community, or do they all work for you?
No, they are across the community. For example, the 5.2 releases, 80% of the new features did come from the community. What we do and or did in Monty from AB, we were before the driver of the MariaDB project. Now we handed that over to the foundation. But it's basically the foundation who will ensure that all these patches are good. We work with developers to get them fixed, and then we add it to MariaDB, and then we take responsibility of the code. And in open source project, it's very important that the original developer have a say of how the code will evolve. One problem is that if the original developer go away, or they just give the code kind of hangs out there and doesn't get attention, gets old, and stops working. So by what we have taken the hat on is that if somebody gets code pushed into MariaDB, we will guarantee that that code is kept alive.
Right.
That is one of the main purpose from the project point of view for the MariaDB Foundation.
So going forward, what's going to happen now? Andrew, how are you going to make sure that this actually is a stable, solid community, and that no one company or no one strong personality takes control? What are you going to do about that?
Well, it's important initially to get input from the various stakeholders to find out what mechanism they feel most comfortable with. And I think the key to all of this is a question of trust. And we have to think in terms of, who are the people that that need to have the trust in the organisation. So obviously the developer community is absolutely key to that, but also the user base and the sponsors and the members of the foundation. And there's a number of different mechanisms that are out there. We're all familiar with a number of different foundations like Apache Foundation and Mozilla Foundation, for example, which use a number of different mechanisms to make sure that the people engaging with the foundation can have the appropriate level of trust. And at the moment, we haven't settled on any one specific mechanism for dealing with that. We're having internal discussions to find out which one of those is likely to be the most appropriate.
Right. And I saw in the announcement that you're planning on having board elections in February. That seems a very, very ambitious timescale.
There's a lot to be done in a very short time, yes.
Right, right. So, Monty, what would you say to people from InfoWorld who are looking at MariaDB and wondering if this is a safe alternative to MySQL?
So, what we have aimed to do and what we are doing is ensuring that MariaDB is everything that MySQL is and much more. And we are totally confident that at any point and any time and any user can just install MariaDB and get a better MySQL. So we are taking MySQL forward the way it should have been if Sun would have continued to exist. And we are very confident that we are doing a good job, and we have probably 1 million people, or not a million instances of MariaDB running, and with very few issues, actually surprisingly few. So we are extremely happy with the product, and most people come back to us and tell us that everything works great and things work much better than before with both performance and stability. So we are happy.
Excellent. Well, gents, thanks very much for giving me some insights into what you're doing there. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens. I think you've got a very aggressive timescale that you're working to, and you've got a big growling problem to solve in getting the community together and getting the foundation started. So the very best of luck to you. And I think this is part of a wider trend of communities needing to have a non-profit entity to gain trust that it's going to be run in the interest of all the participants and not just one. And I think the direction you're taking is almost certainly the right direction to be taking at this point. So congratulations on taking it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Simon.
And thank you everyone for watching. The rest of the article in InfoWorld will have this and more information. Thanks very much.